So without further ado, Michael Lee from Movable Inc.
Hello everyone, my name is Michael Lee. I am the strategy director, and today I'll be talking about how to combat subscription churn. Now, I've been in the subscription industry for a really long time, and a lot of the focus has always been around acquisition, trying to maintain the numbers. But recently, we've been seeing a shift in combating churn. So we're going to deep dive into that section and also talk about what does best-in-class look like to support that. So, subscriptions. We know subscriptions is big, it's everywhere as we go along. And as I was thinking about this, when I'm putting this deck together, I was thinking about how many subscriptions I have. Yes, you have a streaming subscription for videos, for video games. And I've also thought about my phone, the Ring doorbell, very sure alarm. And my latest one, which is a bit crazy, is printer ink. And if you told me 10 years ago, I'd have thought, that's crazy. But that's the world we live in. So we've seen that subscriptions is going pretty much in every single industry. And now, like I said, it's big business. But the question is, how big? So let me ask you this. What will the global subscription economy market size be in 2025 when we think about all industries? Feel free to throw a number. Any wild guess?
100 billion.
100 how much?
100 billion.
100 billion. Bigger than that.
300 billion.
More. All right. It seems like we're going to be here forever. So let me tell you what it is. It's actually going to be 1.2 trillion pounds by next year. That is huge, growing across all industries. So when I was thinking about this in regards to how did we even get in the first place, because when you think about subscriptions, let's say 10, 15 years ago, we were at a point where we own products, right? And now we're moving to what I call we're renting products. So think about the time where 15 years ago, you would go into HMV, you would buy a CD, a Blu-ray, a DVD. Now you're in a position where you're actually renting the content. You think of your streaming service, right? And you think if you beg to differ and you think you're not renting the content, all you need to do is download the content, let's say, i.e. Netflix, cancel your subscription, and good luck on accessing that content again. So for me, I see that mindset shifting, but there must be a reason why that shift. And it also thinks about how does it benefit the consumer themselves. And there are three things that I see, which is the main drivers here for consumers. So one is convenience. When you think about streaming, you think about on-demand, for example. Simple. When I think about Tesco online delivery, I can't remember the last time I went to Tesco. I just use my Tesco app and order, and it comes straight to my door. To have the convenience in place. Convenience. And then we have value. Value itself is just more than reducing the cost, right? It's about how can we engage the customer in different ways. One of the good examples I can think of is within publishing. It's going beyond the core products, which is more of the news articles, and having puzzles in place as well to drive the high engagement. And then we have personalization, which is a no-brainer. The more you use, the more they know about you. And the one that comes to mind is, of course, Netflix. How many times have you been going to watching Netflix and they know exactly what you want to watch in terms of the recommendation? But this comes at a cost, because every business within a subscription space wants a piece of that 1.2 trillion pound business. Now, what we're seeing now is that consumers are now becoming overwhelmed. And we call it, of course, if you're familiar with the subscription business, it's subscription fatigue. And there are a few things here that we can see here. So first, we have spoiled with choice. There's tons of content available. When you think about Sky, for example, you think about Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and so much more. And there's so much content overlap. Financial burden. Sure, you have a subscription that costs you £8, £10, but really and truly, when you add everything up, everything that I've mentioned before, you're talking about hundreds of pounds. And then minimize perceived value. Consumers struggle to see unique value propositions. And this is so important, because how the consumer views your product from the very beginning, during the onboarding phase, is not necessarily the same at a later stage. And that leads us to churn. Now, churn, just for those that are not too familiar, if you zoom out to two types of churn, voluntary churn and involuntary. So voluntary is where they want to of course, cancel their subscription, turn auto-renew off. And involuntary is the opposite, where they have no intention, but there's a payment failure, credit card is expired. Now, when we look at churn, it's different across all industries. I'm not sure if you can see this, but you can see digital media here at 6.9%. You have publishing at 3.9%. And it's all different across different industries. With digital media, you can say it's pretty high because of churn and return. You can say with publishing, it's not so high because there's kind of a brand loyalty, or people have a favorite journalist or a favorite particular section. But what we are seeing across all industries is that churn is at its highest during the free trial period. Now, what that tells me is that if a lot of consumers are churning at that particular time, then they're not recognizing that value from the get-go. So we kind of have to turn that churn model on its head and looking at ways to combat churn as soon as the customer on board. When we deep dive into the stats itself, we see involuntary churn across the board, 40%. That means that it could be credit cards, it could be payment failure, whatever it may be, at 40%. Yes, you can argue that we have businesses that would have transactional emails that are going out to inform them, but I would like to kind of look at this as how can we be more proactive to get the message across to them at an earlier stage as well. Otherwise, we're just leaving money on the table and making assumptions that they will come back. The other one is churn and return. This is one of the things that I do. I would binge a particular series on a streaming service, leave for like a year or so, and then come back at a later stage. We tend to see this 12% across the board for all industries, but in streaming, of course, as you imagine, this is much higher. So the question now becomes, how do we actually combat churn? And now, combating churn is different for all industries. So let's focus on streaming because it's one of the biggest. Now, I believe that Netflix Chief Content Officer has the answer to this. She said that because engagement is the key to success in streaming, when people watch our shows and movies, they get more value from Netflix and they stick around longer and they're more likely to recommend us to their friends. So if engagement is the key success metric, meaning that you're sitting there and watching the movies, then when you think about it, there can only be a few winners in this competitive landscape. After all, we only have 24 hours in a day. So there's a big battle for consumer time and attention. So when we look into this time here, yes, we're looking at multitasking as well, people watching videos, playing video games. And there are some things where you play a video game and listen to music, doesn't require a lot of attention. But for me, when I look at streaming itself, there are some movies that you would watch and it needs your undivided attention. So that tells me that it's a tough position to be in, especially when there's so many things that are happening in the same place. So what I'm going to do now is take you through how our clients have combated churn and looked at ways to retain them. The first one, before I go into it, is, do you remember when I said that churn is at its highest during the free trial period? So Bloomberg has an answer for this. And what they want to do is encourage their subscribers to fully complete their profile status. They have this dynamic wheel where you can see that's going round. And of course, once it's completed, they're capturing data and they're able to provide a personalized experience for them from the get-go. By creating something so simple yet effective, they saw a 30% lift in submission rates. And then we look at Audible. Yes, what would you do when consumers are engaging, but life inevitably gets in the way? Audible has the answer for this. You can see that there's the thumbnail, there's the title of the Audible or audiobook, the progress bar showing you how much time left, and also text is telling you how much time left. And this creates a seamless experience to ensure that the customer can come back at any given time. From this versus the static version, they saw a 25% incremental lift in Android listeners and 31% for iOS. And then for the last one here, we have Peacock. Peacock for streaming service, you can see a value statement here for them, and you can see where it says you stream these genres, different genres that are available to them. Those that are colored in are the genres that they've watched. And of course, those that are grayed out are the ones that have yet to watch as well, which really shows you that there's more for the customer to discover and there's more value to be had. Now, this is given at a time where churn is tough during the streaming service. It's still tough now, but there's still a 20% lift in churn reduction. But furthermore, people are spending more at a time where people are considering canceling, a 6% increase in upgrades. So, I've taken you through the client examples. Now I'm going to change up a little and show you what would a customer journey look like if we, let's say, a streaming service, we can call it Incredible Media, and show you what that looks like. Look at two personas. One is a super fan, and one is a casual fan. So, meet your super fan. So she loves binge watching TV series, has lots of free time, re-watches favorite series. Personally, I can't re-watch it again. It takes too much time, but that's her. We have, on the left-hand side, we have different life cycle stages, and I want you to bear this in mind as I go through the use cases, because I want to go pretty fast, but in case you get lost, just look at the left-hand side so you know exactly where I am. So you have onboarding, engagement, retention, and of course the win back as well. So let's kick things off. So imagine Erin, she's in a sports store with her partner. She's looking to buy her favorite running trainers. She signs up to Incredible Media, and she gets her first email asking her, what are you particularly interested in? So it's look at the way to get to know her more. Erin, being a super fan, she clicks on Originals. She then goes out there for a run, smashes her 5K, gets her personal best with her partner, opens the email, and looks at the top trending originals, which of course she's voted for at the beginning. She then sees what we call a high value action checklist. You can see here. As a super fan, she's already taken 2 actions. One is download the app. The second is to watch content offline. She sees the last day movie there, so she adds it to her watch list. Now, Erin loves the unknown. So you can see here, she tells you where she is at the point in time. She's on season 6, episode 9. And one of the reasons why she loves it is because one of her favorite actors stars in it. His name is Ben Batterfield. And once she binges it, she receives a push notification that tells her that there's a new movie out called Man on Fire. You can see that it also stars her favorite actor. It also shows that there's a rating there, which is 82%. So it's a no-brainer for her to watch this straight afterwards. Now, one of Erin's favorite emails is this value statement here, showing it to her, of course, how much value she's had. It kind of reminds her of her fitness app that shows her, here are the stats for that particular month, so think of Strava. Here you can see a breakdown of the genres. You can see comedy, action, drama, and so on and so forth. You can see how many movies she's watched, 12 movies, 4 series, for example. And also she's been binging Madeline May as well. And they're showing her like an animation on how many hours that is, which is around 9 to 12. After being a customer for a long time, she receives this email here, but she sees this banner, which is something that's different. And it says, Erin, your credit card is due to expire in, let's say, 10 days. And they're telling her to link the new card. Of course, today is October the 15th. She looks down to the email and can see that in 3 days' time, you can still have access to the hero, which is 18th of October. She then looks at the welcome home, which is, of course, in 11 days' time, which she won't have access. And it's telling her to upgrade credit card. Knowing Erin, she doesn't want to miss out, so she decides to update her credit card. Then she gets unusual comms, informing her, updating her on the latest content. But Erin now wants to kind of have a shift of focus. She wants to spend more time with her partner, with her in-laws, and she does the unthinkable. She unsubscribes. Now, when she unsubscribes, the time that she's been spent streaming is now spent with her in-laws. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing, but I'll leave it out there. One thing that Erin is doing at the moment is she's looking at all the content that's been informed, but more importantly, she can now see content that she's been waiting for this season called Would You Rather. This is the 4th season that's coming out, and it's now been paired with an offer. Also, see a countdown timer. For Erin, this is a no-brainer for her to get back into the service. So a nice, simple way of how this journey looks like for Erin. But what about a casual fan? What would that look like? So we have this gentleman up there. We just call him Michael. And he watches an hour of content daily, has a busy work-life schedule, juggling work, juggling with family, tries to meet friends when he can at Starbucks, and he enjoys popular shows to avoid FOMO. So Michael signs up to Incredible Media, just like any other casual fan. He's been asked, what does he want to see more of? Again, he wants to be in the know, so he clicks on new releases. You can see that there are new releases that are out at the moment, and this is perfect for him. And also he sees high-value action here, but he's not a super fan. He's only downloaded the app so far. He has yet to watch the content offline and also add to the watch list. He does neither. He just simply forgot, but spoiler alert, this module can be repurposed at a later stage. he's at work, he's on his lunch break, and he receives this push notification telling him that there's a new episode of Macy's World. He knows exactly where he is at this point in time, but also it tells him how many new episodes that are out at this point in time, 4 episodes. And this is perfect because now it's a case of having his lunch, enjoying the content, and getting a few episodes in to be up to date with Macy's World. Michael's then informed on content that's leaving the service. Of course, there's based on the license. So the coffee catch up with his friends on the weekend, that's now been cancelled. He's now prioritizing the movies for Underwater. He can see that there's the high value action checklist is now showing up again, reminding him that he has yet to watch the content offline, yet to add these to the watch list. You can see the content with Underwater, that it has the countdown timer when it leaves service. You can see the ratings and star ratings. Also showing that it's 4.5 out of 3,471 reviews. It's a no-brainer for him. So he downloads the Underwater and he adds 668 to the watch list. So this module now collapses. One of his favorite things is the value statements. So you can see here, you can see that his favorite time to watch the content is at nighttime. Showing how many movies he's watched, 6 movies, 1 series. Also, his current streaming streak is 4 days. So he's looking to beat that for the following month. Now, Michael is super busy and he's thinking about leaving and he tries to turn auto renew off. Then he sees this banner that comes up showing him that he only has 6 days left. 6 days left. Again, it shows him that in 3 days' time, you still have access to the hero. But in 11 days' time, with a new movie, Welcome Home, he won't have access because he's turned it off. And it's telling him to turn auto-renew on as well as no return as well. So he decides to turn it back on. And he receives the usual comms, let him know what the latest content. But then he decides to say, actually, I'm going to stick to my guns. There's no real new content after a couple of months. Let me save some money on this as well and come back at a later date. Now he's during the win-back phase. He gets a push notification telling him that you've watched the Discovery before. There's 35 episodes that's been unwatched since you last left. And also the latest episode has been added a week ago. But for Michael, this is not enough. He feels like now is not the right time, so he decides that I'm not going to renew my subscription. And then he receives this supercharged win-back communication telling him that there are a number of titles added since he's left, 94, for his favorite genre. What's trending in the UK right now, and also what's still on his watch list. And for him, this is great, this is perfect. You see all the different contents that's available to him. So he decides to come back to the service. So what are the key takeaways here and learnings? I would say meet customer needs with tailored experiences. And we hear this every single time, but I'm going to elaborate on this point, especially during the onboarding phase. I've seen a lot of email comms that during the onboarding phase, it's very generic, and we all treat customers the same. Look at the data we can leverage here. Look at the behavioral data. Look at the zero-party data. How do we be in a better position to serve the customer, especially when churn is at its highest during the free trial period? Value strengthens relationship. This is, of course, obvious when you think about it. We think about customer recognizing a value from the beginning, but also making sure that everything is being recognized, that their loyalty is being celebrated throughout the whole process. And the customer today versus the customer next year is not the same. So we have to make sure that we are showing value. Even if that means that there are some benefits that have yet to discover, bring it to the forefront as well to let them know. So the more they watch, the more likely they are to stay. And then churn doesn't mean goodbye. Now, there are customers that will leave, and there are customers that will come back. But it doesn't mean that we should not take action. We should be in a position to leverage all the data that we have and be in a position to pair the content with the offering itself to create that personalized experience. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy it. If you want to talk all things subscriptions, I'll be outside. If not, enjoy your lunch and the day.